Alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear students, today we are going to read Unit 9, that is The Wolf's Children. Wolf's Children Part 1. It means that in this book we are going to have two parts of this chapter. This is the first part. What is this chapter about? Wolf Children. To know this, we will read this chapter, but first of all, let's come to words to know. The first word is flee, which means run away. Next word is hideous. It means extremely ugly or unpleasant, something that is extremely ugly and or we may say unpleasant. Lair, we may say den as well. It means a wild animal's resting place. Mound is a raised mass of earth specially created for the purpose of defense or burial. Okay, superstition. Excessive belief in supernatural magical effects of particular action. Effects of particular action. In other words, we may say that a faith in magic and chance, not on natural things. So now let's come to its reading. 6 men sat on a wooden hunting platform. The platform had been hastily built during heat of the day. Now, in the gathering twilight, the men knew that their long wait would soon be over. 6 men sat on a hunting wood. It is a hunting wood platform, and which they have made very hastily, which they built very hastily, and during the heat of the day. Now, in the gathering of twilight means a time just after dusk. Twilight means a time after dusk. In Urdu we may say like Maghrib ka waqt. This is what twilight. The men knew that their long wait would be over soon. Whatever they are waiting for, now this wait will be over soon. Below them, some 30 meters away, stood a giant anthill. It was on this that the men's attention was focused. Below their platform, there was some 30 meters away, there was a giant anthill, and it was on this that men's attention was very focused on that giant hill. Anthill, sorry. One of the men licked his lips nervously. The anthill, he knew, had long ago been abundant by ants. Means there were no ants. No ants lived over there, but something else was there. And what was there? Let's read it. Now it was simply a hollow. It was just a dig, a hollow shell like a cave. Inside it there lived jungle demons. Jungle demons means devils or monster, etc. So there lived jungle demons. So we are going to read a horror story today. Okay, so next is sunset was time for demons to appear. When the sun set, it was the time of the time after dusk. We know, so we know the sun time after dusk. So it was the time for demons to appear. It was October 9, 1920. So the time was October 9, 1920. Everyone in the village knew about the jungle demons. All the villagers were very well aware about jungle demons. They had heard their howls and their strange yelping. It means a sharp high or a very sharp high cry, we may say, about yelping. yelping cries. Several people had actually seen the demons. Even several of them, had actually seen the demons. They were in appearance of half human and half animal. What were how they looked? Those demons. They were in the appearance of half human, like human beings, and half of animals. The superstitious would no longer venture into the forest for fear of them. The forest was bathed in deep red glow from the setting sun. The first of the large fruit bats flapped past at the waiting man. Suddenly there was a movement in the narrow entrance of the ant hill. The man on the platform stiffened. One of them drew his breath sharply while another tightened his grip on stock of his rifle. One of them drew his breath very sharply like this, and other of them tightened their grip on their rifle. Now let's come to next page. Something was coming out of the ant hill. It was fully grown wolf. Behind it came a second wolf and then two small cubs. Then something else as well emerged. It was a demon, just as the villagers had said, half human and half animal. After these two small cubs of wolf, after two small cub of wolves, these are not the wolf cubs. After two small cubs of wolf, something strange emerged, and it was the demon, as same as the villagers had said, half human and half animal. The demon was followed by a second monster, much smaller than the first. The demon was followed by a second monster which was much smaller than the first. Both of the creatures had matted hair which covered their faces. Both of the creatures have matted hair which had covered their faces, and both walked on all fours. They around cautiously before bounding after the two wolves. In front of them were two wolves, and they were behind them, and they both walked on four. So the six men reacted in different ways. Those men that as they were watching the wolf, they reacted in different ways. Two of them aimed their rifle at the strange creature. One quickly signaled them not to shoot. One among those six signaled these two persons not to shoot. Then he began to write his notebook, and after giving signal to these two persons, he began to write in his notebook. He took out his notebook and started writing something. One man too, frightened to look, buried his face in his hand. The rest started in disbelief. So the stories were true. They had seen the monsters for themselves. The man with the notebook, who had given a signal to the two men not to shoot. So his name was Mr. Singh. He had listened the tales and chatters about demons and had been determined to prove. He was here to determine to prove that the stories were nonsense. But no, it was true. Even so, it had taken a good deal of persuasion to find men who would take him to the demon's lair and watch him while he observed them for himself. Back at the village, Mr. Singh ignored the excited talk of his five companions and read thoroughly the notes he had scribbled at that time. The creatures were hideous beings. He had written what he had written in his notebook. He wrote that The creatures were hideous beings. Both of them ran on all fours. One of he had put hand, foot, and body like a human being, but the head was a big ball of something covering the shoulders. Head was like a big ball, something covering the shoulders. He was convinced, however, that the creatures were not demons. He was convinced, but he still knew that those creatures were something, but they were not demons. What he felt sure he had seen were two children about 4 or 5 years old. So still he is thinking that they were not demons. They were he thought in his mind thing is there that they were two children about 4 or 5 years old, and they were not demons.